Okay, welcome again. In this part we are going to discuss about eukaryotic cells. Okay, and in this part we are going to discuss about components of eukaryotic cells and why these are advanced than prokaryotic cells. Okay, one feature all of you know, the most important one is eukaryotic cells contains a well defined nucleus, and second one is they also have membrane bound components, or you can say cell organelles. Okay, so when we talk about eukaryotic cells, now you can see here number of cells are shown. Protist cell is there, a fungal cell is there, a plant cell there, and animal cell is there. Okay, and here you can see that all of them have got a clear sections, okay, of different components. So you can say that clear compartmentalization is present here, okay, because of the presence of membranes. Okay, then comes they also have very complex locomotory and cytoskeletal structures, and the most important one is they have genetic material which is organized into chromosomes, or you can say that DNA is organized into chromosomes. Okay, so when we talk about eukaryotic cells, different components are there. Okay, so in this we are going to discuss about cell membranes, cell wall, endomembrane system, mitochondria, plastids, ribosomes, cytoskeleton, cilia and flagella, centrosome and centrioles, nucleus and microbodies. Okay, let's start with the cell. So in the above slide, in this one you can see that this is the structure of a plant cell. Okay, this is a plant cell, and this one is the structure of animal cell. Okay, both of them are eukaryotic cells. So first of all we are going to discuss about cell membranes. Okay, so when we talk about cell membrane, another term used for it is plasma membrane. Okay, now after complex studies and discovery of electron microscope in 1950s, okay, it was found that plasma membranes have a particular or a specific structure. Okay, and this structure is made up of lipid bilayer, protein and carbohydrate. Now earlier it was thought that the lipid and protein layers are arranged like sandwich. Okay, sandwich here means the lipids are on two sides and protein is present in between these layers, so we used to call it sandwich. Okay, sandwich layer like structure. But later on, with the advancement in microscope, that is when electron microscope came into existence, and it was they were discovered, they were invented, and after that only the clear picture of cell membrane was in front of us. Okay, so now we know that plasma membranes basically consist of lipids which are mainly phosphoglycerides. Okay, and when we talk about phosphoglycerides, that simply means that they have outer polar head. Okay, they have outer polar head and inner hydrophobic tails. So if, okay, um, let me change the color first. Okay, if we are taking, this is the lipid, this is the polar head. Okay, and these are the hydrophobic tails. Okay, so it was explained at that time that their polar heads are protruding outside but their tails are inside. Okay, so if you will look at the same structure, you will find that these structures exactly, somehow you can say that they look like this. Okay, polar head with tail, polar head with tail, so they are arranged in this manner. Okay, so these are lipids having outer polar head. Okay, so they are having outer polar heads and tails inside it. Okay, These tails are hydrophobic tails, and the head is hydrophilic. So now you can see, you can understand that if a cell is present, okay, if for example a cell is present, you can see, for example this is a cell. If we will enlarge this, okay, then you can make out another picture, like they exactly look like this, okay. That means having small head like structures like this, and their tails are like this, okay. So inside, if you will look at the structure, on this side cytoplasm is present, which is in the contact with heads, and outside, outer outer things are there which is in contact with the head. So head is actually projecting at the, or you can say that it is in contact with external surface, okay. Head is in contact with external surface, here external surface, as well as internal surface. Internally it has cytoplasm, and externally external solutions are there. So head is hydrophilic, water loving, and tail is hydrophobic, okay. So that's why they are arranged in this manner, okay. So this is very important, that plasma membrane, the first component in the plasma membrane is lipid bilayer, okay. So this is a lipid bilayer, and then again they have protein and carbohydrates, okay. Then lipids bilayer means, bi means two, lipids are arranged in two layers, okay. And along with it they have protein and carbohydrates, okay. Now when we talk about proteins, if you will look at the proteins itself, you will find that proteins are arranged randomly in the layer, okay. So they are arranged randomly in the layer. Here you can see these are all proteins which are arranged randomly in the lipid bilayer, okay. Along with it they have glycoproteins, which are carbohydrates. They also have cholesterol, okay. So here the most important things which you have to remember is that they have phospholipid bilayer, they have proteins, they have glycoproteins, they have cholesterol, okay. Then again, if you will look at the proteins, the amount of protein varies in different cells. For example, in human RBC, if you will look at the human RBC, they have got 52% of protein and only 40% is of lipids. So it varies in different uh, type of cells, okay. Now there are two types of proteins which are present in the phospholipids, okay, bilayer. So they are, some are known as integral proteins, some are known as integral, and some are known as peripheral proteins, okay. Those proteins which are embedded in the membrane, okay, like this, those proteins which are embedded in the membrane, they are known as integral protein. But those which are present on the outer side, okay, like icebergs, okay, they are known as peripheral proteins. So the important difference you have to remember is integral proteins cannot be extracted out of the phospholipid bilayer, but peripheral proteins can be extracted out, okay. So proteins are of two types, integral proteins and peripheral proteins, on the basis of, or you can say they are this difference is based on the, or this classification is based on the ease of extraction. Integral proteins are partially or totally embedded in the membrane. Peripheral proteins lie on the surface of the membrane. So which one is easier to extract? Okay, yes, your answer is right, peripheral protein, okay. So I hope it is clear. Let's move on to the discoverers, okay. Now the nature of protein, or sorry, the nature of plasma membrane was a mystery for a long time, okay. Or what is the how these lipids and proteins are arranged along with each other, how it performs function, this was all a mystery, because microscopes were not that good at that time. So later on the basis of electron microscope studies which were done with the help of electron microscopes, they gave, here means Singer and Nicholson proposed a hypothesis of the model which is known as fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. It explains the structure of the plasma membrane, and according to it, it is the quasi fluid nature of lipid enables lateral movement of proteins within the overall bilayers. Okay, quasi fluid means here the membrane is not hard, okay, it is flexible and it is fluid like, okay, and proteins present in it can move laterally within the bilayer. Just imagine that a field, a ground is filled with people. You can see all red color head of lipids. Just imagine that these are people, and blue ones are students. Okay, all of you can imagine any one of them. And if you have to move from one place to another, how will you go? You will walk through the crowd. Okay, so when you will walk through the crowd, in the same manner, just imagine proteins move laterally through the bilipid layer. Okay, so this is very important. This you should know, that the according to Singer and Nicholson, the quasi-fluid nature of lipid enables lateral movement of proteins within the overall bilayer. Okay, so, and this ability to move within the membrane, the way by which proteins move in within the layer is measured as its fluidity. Okay, so here you can see blue colored structures. Okay, all of them, these blue colored structures are integral proteins because they're completely embedded in the membrane, but these ones are peripheral proteins. Okay, here you can see glycolipids are there, glycoproteins are there, cholesterol is there, and cholesterol is basically responsible for its fluid nature of the plasma membrane. Okay, so this theory is very important. It is extremely important that you should be able to understand it. Okay, now these proteins which are present inside it, it is very important for us to know the role of these proteins. Why are they present in such way? These proteins are very important because they help in transport of molecules and ions. Okay, so these carrier proteins, actually they are helping, or they are actually facilitating the transport of different type of molecules. Okay, we know that plasma membrane are semi permeable, so obviously they will not allow all the molecules to move through them. Okay, and if they have to move through this, okay, then they must have some channels. Okay, they must have some ways through which they can move. So there are some transmembrane proteins which allows them to move through this bilipid layer. Okay, so there is one term written, extracellular space means the space outside the cell, intracellular means the space present inside the cell. Okay, so molecules which needs to move, some molecules can move from extracellular space to intracellular space, some can move out from intracellular to extracellular space. Okay, so these proteins are known as carrier proteins also. They help in movement of molecules, and that is why we call plasma membrane as semi-permeable membrane. Okay, and here you know that the nature of plasma membrane is fluid. So, and that is why it helps in the cell growth. It also helps in formation of intercellular junctions. Okay, so another term is there, intercellular junctions. Intercellular junctions means the junction which is helping in transport between two cells. intercellular. Inter means between, intra means within the cell. Okay, so this is an important role of the plasma membrane. Now moving on to the types of transport. Now, because these proteins are helping in transport, there are two types of transport which takes place through these plasma membrane. One is known as passive transport, another one is known as active transport. Okay, passive transport here means when anything moves from when anything moves from higher concentration to lower concentration without using energy, then it is known as passive transport. Okay, now active transport here means if something is present at low concentration and it has to move towards higher concentration, okay, then it requires energy. Okay, here energy is not required, but here energy is required. So the second one is known as active transport. Okay, so there are two types of transport which takes place through it. One is known as passive transport, another one is known as active transport. Okay, so normally it is known as diffusion. For example, there is first term which you have already heard about, it is known as diffusion. When molecules are moving from higher concentration to lower concentration without using energy, then it is known as passive transport, and you can also use another term for it, diffusion. Okay, in active transport what happens, the movement takes place from lower to higher concentration but with the help of ATP. Okay, so this is the basic difference. Now here you can see very clearly. Okay, now in this picture you can very clearly see simple diffusion is taking place. Okay, simple diffusion here means for example water molecules are moving in. Okay, so here what is happening, higher concentration, water molecules are in higher concentration and they are moving towards lower concentration, and we call this as osmosis. When water moves from higher concentration to lower concentration, then it is known as osmosis. So and if some ions or molecules are transported in this way, it is known as diffusion. Then comes facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion here means when diffusion is taking place but with the help of carrier proteins. Okay, then it is known as, facilitate means help. So when diffusion of molecules takes place with the help of carrier proteins, it is known as facilitated diffusion. Okay, so these are certain terms which are important to understand. Now moving on, this I have already explained. Movement of molecules across the membrane along the concentration gradient, that is from higher concentration to the lower without expenditure of energy. So in this two types can be there in passive transport. One is known as simple diffusion, the other one is known as osmosis. Always remember that when we are talking about molecules or solutes, but it does not involves water. So whenever movement of neutral solutes takes place across the membrane, it is known as simple diffusion. But when movement of water takes place by diffusion, then it is known as osmosis. So in passive transport we have simple diffusion and osmosis, which doesn't require energy. Okay, then one important thing is when polar molecules cannot pass through. Now this point is important. When polar molecules cannot pass through non-polar lipid bilayer. Okay, so whenever polar molecules they cannot move through the lipid bilayer, they cannot pass through the lipid bilayer, then they require some help. That help is through carrier proteins. Then this type of diffusion is known as facilitated diffusion. Okay, so I'm reading it again. Polar molecules cannot pass through non-polar lipid bilayer. So question can be asked that polar molecules cannot pass through the non-polar lipid bilayer. Explain and give reason and explain how this can be possible. So you have, the answer is facilitated diffusion. Okay. Now moving on to the active transport, when movement of molecules takes place across the membrane, but this is very important, against the concentration gradient. That means movement is taking place from lower to higher concentration with the expenditure of energy. And all of you know that in the cells we get energy from ATP. Okay, so this is when such type of transport takes place where energy is required, then it is known as active transport. For example, sodium potassium pumps are present in our body which requires energy for their transport, and this is an example of active transport. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, cell wall. Okay, we know that in eukaryotic cells two types of cells are there, plant cell and animal cell. In plant cells, in plant cells especially, the cell wall is present, but in animal cell wall is absent. Okay, and the composition of cell wall differs from different organisms. For example, in algae it contains cellulose, galactans, mannans and minerals like calcium carbonate. Okay, but in some plants, if you look at the higher plants, they contain cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins and proteins. So this is a very important difference. They can ask what is the difference between the composition of cell wall in between algae and the higher plants. Okay, now moving on to the cell wall, structure of cell wall. See, a cell wall consists of a primary wall and a secondary wall, and there is another layer which is known as middle lamella. So here in the picture you can clearly see primary cell wall. Okay, this is plasma membrane. Okay, above plasma membrane we have got primary cell wall, and above primary cell wall we have got middle lamella. Okay, but as the cell matures, okay, this primary cell wall disappears after some time, and in the place of primary cell wall a secondary wall is formed. Okay, so inner to plasma membrane a secondary wall is formed, and above it this structure remains same, which is known as middle lamella. So there is primary wall in the young plant which is replaced by a new wall that is known as secondary wall. Okay, and between two walls of flowers, two cells, between two walls of the cells we have got middle lamella. Just imagine if we are joining two bricks. Okay, we need some cementing material in between. In the same manner, this middle lamella act as a cementing material between cell wall of two cells. Okay, and that's why it glues, or you can say it sticks the cell wall of two neighboring cells together. Okay, and we know that these two cell walls must be connected with each other so that they can transport number of molecules from one cell to another. So for that they have specialized structures which are known as plasmodesmata. Okay, so this is very important to understand, that plasmodesmata is very important. This is plasmodesmata. Okay, this plasmodesmata is present between the cell wall and middle lamella of two cells, and its function is only one, that it helps in transport and makes connection between the cytoplasm of two cells. Okay, here you can see this is the plasmodesmata. So you know that the basic function of cell is protection and support. So it protects the cell from mechanical damage, it provides it proper shape, and it also acts as barrier to undesirable macromolecules. Okay, along with it, it also helps in interaction between two cells with the help of plasmodesmata. So basic function is shape, gives shape, protection, provides mechanical support, and also helps in cell to cell interaction. Okay, moving on to endomembrane system. Now endomembrane system consists of you can say that because all of them are made up of membranes. Okay, and they coordinates in function. Their functions are related to each other, so that's why we call it as endomembrane system. Okay, so in this endomembranous system, there are few organelles which coordinate with each other for performing specific function, and these organelles are: number 1, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes, vacuoles. Okay, all of them are part of endomembrane system. Okay, you know that these are having different structure and function, but they work together in such a manner that all the functions are coordinated. How they coordinate, what functions they perform, we will study further. So let's start with the first cell organelle, which is endoplasmic reticulum. So when we talk about an endoplasmic reticulum, it was observed under electron microscope, and it was found that these are tubular structures. Okay, these are small tubular structures, and they are mostly found near the nucleus. Okay, so this is the nucleus, and these are tubular structures. Okay, they are scattered in the cytoplasm. And if we will look at these tubular structures, they are of two types. Okay, or you can say that the space present in these structures can be divided into two. One is known as luminal and the other one is known as extraluminal. Okay, so luminal means inside endoplasmic reticulum. Whatever space is present inside endoplasmic reticulum, here inside, it is known as luminal. Okay, it is known as luminal, and the space which is present outside, okay, that is in the cytoplasm, it is known as extraluminal. So endoplasmic reticulum can be divided into two types, luminal and extraluminal, and it can be divided into two more types, rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so rough and smooth here means the endoplasmic reticulum which is having ribosomes, it is known as rough endoplasmic reticulum. So those endoplasmic reticulums which have these ribosomes present on their surface, they appear to be rough. The surface appears to be rough because of the presence of tiny ribosomes on their surface. Okay, so they are known as rough endoplasmic. This is known as rough endoplasmic reticulum. And this RER is having ribosomes, so it helps in protein synthesis. If we talk about smooth endoplasmic reticulum, smooth because surface doesn't contain, okay, because surface does not contain ribosomes, the surface appears to be smooth, so we call it smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So its basic function is synthesis of lipid. Okay, so it is clear now that rough endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes protein, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes lipid. You know that both these components are required in the formation of cell membrane. Plasma membrane requires lipid as well as protein. So whenever these plasma membranes are damaged, then the formation of or the repair of these cell membranes are done through these endoplasmic reticulum, that is RER and SER. Okay, now moving on to another structure, another peculiar structure, it is known as Golgi apparatus. So this Golgi apparatus contains number of sacs, okay, and this is located always near nucleus. Okay, and it is first observed by Camillo Golgi in 1898. Okay, these structures are flat disc shaped structures. Okay, these are flat structures, these are disc shaped structures, and these are term used for disc shaped is cisternae, and they are present one above the other, or you can say they are parallel to each other. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, you can see that they are parallel to each other, they are stacked one over the other. and these structures are known as cisternae. Okay, these are known as cisternae. Okay, cisternae are concentrically arranged with convex cis and concave trans. So there are two faces which you should remember, cis and trans face. Okay, so this part is this part is cis face. Okay, this is very important, that this is known as cis, and it is also known as forming phase. Okay, forming phase. And concave part is trans phase, or we also known as maturing phase. So this is known as trans phase. Okay, if you will look at this is trans phase. So this is cis phase, which is also known as forming phase, and this is known as trans phase or maturing phase. Okay, so there are all these disc shaped structures are known as cisternae. Cisternae have cis and trans phase. This is cis and this is trans phase. This is called forming phase, and this one is known as maturing phase. Okay, now Golgi apparatus performs a very important function. These actually helps in formation of certain materials. Okay, and sometimes these materials are required outside cell by other cells, or it may be required by the cell within or intracellular area. Okay, so the materials which are required, okay, which are packaged as vesicles from ER fuse with cis phase. So whatever material has to be packaged, it fuses with cis phase, and then it starts moving towards trans phase. Okay, and we know that the Golgi apparatus is always found near endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so the materials are which have to be packaged, okay, like we do it in factories. Materials comes from the cis phase. Okay, they fuse with the cis phase, move inside towards the trans phase. They are then packaged and modified into these vesicles, and they are ready for the transport. So just imagine these are vehicles which will now take them either into the cell or outside the cells. Okay, then again with proteins which are synthesized by endoplasmic reticulum are also modified inside the Golgi apparatus. Okay, and then later on they are released through their trans phase. Okay, so they basically do formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids, which are then used in the cell wall or plasma membrane formation. Okay, plasma membrane formation. So this is the basic function of Golgi apparatus. So it is very important to remember that these are cisternae which are stacked one over the other. They have got cis phase and trans phase. Cis phase takes the material which needs to be packaged, and then this packaged material is modified inside the cisternae, and then it is packaged and released through the trans phase toward inside the cell or outside the cell. Okay, so this was the function of the cell. Now moving on to the lysosomes. You know that these are known as suicidal bags of the cells. These are known as suicidal bags of the cells because they contain some hydrolytic enzymes. So hydrolytic enzymes means they are collection of hydrolases, lipases, proteases and carbohydrases. Okay, so lipases here means which breaks down lipids. Proteases means which dissolve and break down proteins. Carbohydrates means which dissolve and break down carbohydrates. Okay, and they are mostly found active in pH, acidic pH. So they activates in acidic pH and digests everything. Okay, so whenever some cell organelle is not working, it is digested by the enzymes released by lysosomes. Okay, and they are enclosed in a membrane. So lysosomes are membrane bound vesicular structures. Okay, and they are mostly formed by Golgi apparatus. So lysosome is also a product of, you can say it is a product of Golgi apparatus. Their basic function is that they store hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, so it is very important that you should also remember the type of enzymes present in these hydrolases, and they can only work in acidic pH. Okay, thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you must have understood till lysosomes, and we will talk further about other cell components in the next video. Thank you.